We call the meeting to order. Council President, are you there?
Yes, I'm trying to unmute myself.
Okay,
Can you call the roll?
sure. The time is 6:31 p.m. Councilor Stevenson,
Present.
Councilor Gowdy,
Present.
Councilor Martin,
Present.
Councilor Smith,
Present.
Councilor Austin,
Present.
and I just want to go back because it was not done. Can you please call the meeting to order?
The meeting is called to order.
Thank you. We have,
Can I just advise people to quiet their cell phones and other portable devices not in use to record the meeting? Public, please limit your responses to 3 minutes. And please announce your name and address clearly. Social distancing is in effect. Thank you.
next we have remarks of the public on agenda items only. Time limit is 2 minutes.
None. The
Hearing
clerk
none,
has called for the public to speak. Is there anyone here to speak for the public? Hearing none, clerk, please move on.
there are no minutes to be approved. Next, we have reports and announcements of the mayor.
Mayor King.
Good afternoon, Council President. Good afternoon, Council. Happy New Year. I was looking for the Finance Director. It's my understanding he wanted to have a few words. Charles, are you on the call? Can you hear me okay?
We could hear you.
Okay, great. So I'm having problems with my video, so just be here with audio right now. If Charles gets on in the middle of this, I'd like to yield some of my time to him. I would just like to take a brief moment to read into the record a letter that I have crafted, a letter to the Council President, Corinne Stevens, dated December 31st, 2020. It reads as follows. Dear Clerk of Council Deneau and City Council President Stevenson, pursuant to Section 113E of the East Cleveland City Charter, please be advised that I am hereby submitting my line item veto of the specific items listed in the attachment to the above referenced legislation, thereby effectuating their repeal and execution and executive replacement. The line item veto is in response to Resolution 54-20. The following is my objection. This legislation, eliminating or significantly reducing funds in line items such as salaries, independent contractor, professional services, office supplies, etc., of city departments is an improper legislative encroachment upon the powers of the mayor in violation of East Cleveland City Charter. Resolution 54-20 unduly limits the capacity of the mayor to hire, promote, demote, or fire personnel. Section 113B, as well as to contracts, section 113C/72 with the city's vendors. To restrict a mayor's ability to perform these duties by creating unreasonable financial barriers is an unlawful infringement upon the executive branch of city government. This dated and signed December 31st, 2020, referenced in the response to resolution 54-20. It is my line item veto. I have sent it to you. I wanted to read it into the record. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, councilors. I still do not see our finance director. So unless there's any questions or concerns with me, we can move on. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Mayor King. Clerk,
Next, we have receipts of communications and petitions. There are none.
can I, there was some things that came in today that I read over briefly that we need to respond to. Go ahead. I just wanted to add that note.
Next, we have reports from council committees. The next regular council meeting will be held Tuesday, January 19th at 6:30 p.m. And the next agenda review meeting will be held Thursday, January 14th at 6:30 p.m. Is there a report for contracts and property? Councilor Gowdy, chairperson.
Okay, say it again.
I said,
I can't hear you, Victoria.
is there a report for contracts and property?
Oh,
Council-
yeah. Contracts and property, will be meeting on January the 7th at 6:30. And we will be talking about the contracts that have not been given to the council in proper manner. And also, we will be sharing the contracts that's been actually being submitted into the council, the new contracts, if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have health and safety. Councilor Martin is the chairperson.
Yes, Health and Safety will be meeting January the 12th. It's got 6:30, but it's usually 5:30, so you can check that out, Madam Clerk. I will say that one thing that will be need to be added to that agenda, and you've got plenty of time, is the unfortunate situation that happened in East Cleveland today with someone losing their life. So I'm asking that the police chief by 3-4 days have a thorough report of what transpired, because I'm getting a lot of calls for it. That would be on the agenda. The gun buyback program update would be on the agenda for the clerks, and maybe 1 or 2. The meeting should last no longer than an hour, but I want the clerks to verify the time. I think the time's supposed to be 5:30, not 6:30, but double check it, please. I'm almost sure it's 5:30. That concludes health and safety. Again, January the 12th, I think at 5:30, and we got time to have that agenda in place. But I'm putting that out there now so that Chief Gardner will be at that meeting, will be on Zoom. So any questions that we have regarding this incident or an unfortunate happening today can be discussed factually and thoroughly. That concludes health and safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a finance committee chairperson, Councilor Stevenson.
The finance committee meeting date is not correct, so we need to correct that. I believe that it was on the agenda last week for the 7th, which is tomorrow. But at any rate, both Martin and myself cannot meet at 5:30, and I cannot meet at 6:30. So I will be meeting at 5:30. We could move it to Thursday or move it to next week. That's all I have.
You can meet at 5:30, is that what you're saying? Or you need to meet at 5:30?
Both of us cannot meet at 5:30.
Well, I'm very
So
flexible, so I'll tell you what we'll do, because we need to have this meeting. You can have your meeting at 5:30 and I have mine at 6:30. How is that?
Yeah, counselors, the meeting last week, you both, the finance committee meeting was stated it would be at 5:30. And that's why I put the health and safety at 6:30. It seems to work out better to have both of them back to back. So that's why it was done that way.
Okay, I wasn't sure at the time, but I'm not complaining about the time. So it's listed here on what I'm looking at is 6:30.
Right,
So I can have my meeting at 6:30 and Corrine can have hers at 5:30.
right. That's what we were planning on. Finance at 5:30 like we did last time, and then health and safety at 6:30. And it just makes sense if we could double up on these meetings instead of, it helps the council people as a whole that they're not every evening. And this way, everybody's online at the same time and they can attend all the committee meetings.
Okay, so we'll stick with the way it's set up for now. We'll go for Corrine at 5:30 on the 12th and me at 6:30.
Correct.
Thank you.
You have to act.
Clerk,
Counselor Stevenson, did you not say,
Because you just,
It's unmuted. Should you shut up?
did you say that you were gonna have a committee meeting on the 7th?
we resolved that,
So now it's gonna be on the 12th at 5:30.
5:30, yes.
Next, we have General Service and Administration. Counselor Austin's chairperson.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm trying to pull the agenda up right now. Normally I would like to see it on the screen, but nevertheless, the focus for general services has been on making sure the streets were plowed and well maintained for safety of our residents, and continue to ask our residents to kind of pitch in to take care of their own health and safety along the way until the service department can get back to their areas to service their streets, keeping our sewers clean, open, and kind of taking good care of each other as we go through this process. If you would, Madam Clerk, address the next general services meeting. I got it up now. Thursday, the 21st at 5:30 p.m. It's going to be on Zoom, so more to follow on the items on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Personnel and Appointments Committee, and Counselor Smith is the chairperson.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next Personnel and Appointments meeting is scheduled for January 26, 2020. That's a Tuesday via Zoom. You are all invited. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have no proclamations. We have no bids at this time. Next, we'll go to legislation. Resolution number 4620. A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a municipal fleet lease to own contract with NCL Government Capital to lease/purchase a fire truck and EMS ambulance, a snowplow truck 1, a snowplow truck 2, and a street sweeper at a combined cost of $1,483,039 for the public health, safety, and welfare. This is requested by Brandon L. King, Mayor, sponsored by Juanita Gowdy, Vice President Council, co-sponsored by Nathaniel Martin and Timothy Austin, Councilors at Large. And this is an emergency.
the items that's supposed to be.
Counselor Gowdy, this legislation bears your name. What is your recommendation?
Yeah, this resolution is about getting some trucks and sweep cleaner and other things that we need for the city at the time, but it's not no attack. And we are going to be ready for a vote now. And I just need to ask the mayor, did he receive any signed resolution?
Any sign, can you repeat that, please?
Oh, I just wanted to know if the mayor received any sign of legislation.
Mayor King?
Yes, Council, one more time. I seem to have missed that question.
Have you ever seen, have you ever received any sign of legislation?
Have I ever seen any ventilation?
No, what she said, have you received any recently any signed legislation? She's saying legislation.
I can't hear.
I said resolution.
Muted.
Legislation.
I'm not sure what the question is, council as a whole. I'm sorry. If anyone could.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, did you receive any legislation?
Legislation regarding.
Signed by us and was sent up to you?
No, and I believe that is what the finance director would like to address the council about. So if Council Vice President, if you don't mind me yielding some time to the finance director, he would like to address that very issue because we are waiting on some legislation. So if you would, Council Vice President.
Well,
Council Vice
point
President.
of order, we got 4620. Maybe before we go to 0121, we have that's on the table right now, 4620.
Excuse me. The reason why I asked the question, have he received any legislation? Because he had veto. And how can you veto something that you never received?
Excellent. So if
the budget that you never received.
Excellent. So if I could have the finance director chime in on that, that would be great.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the mayor, it's pretty simple to me. When things are passed, as far as the legislation, ordinances, resolutions, we're just not getting the signed copy, the original, at least a copy of the signatures from the clerk, the president, and the mayor, and the law director. And so this is just one of, I don't know how many, I want to say maybe 3 to 4 pieces of legislation that has been passed, and we yet to receive the originals with the signatures. And some of this legislation needs to be sent down to various other entities, as I did communicate to the 2 clerks already. So that's pretty much it.
So, Charles, let me be clear.
What is the plan, Charles? Because you didn't really say nothing that we really wanted.
Wow, he just keeps cutting her off.
Is you vetoing if it never got brought up to the mayor?
Are you asking a question?
Yes, I am, Charles. What are you vetoing if it never got to the? And what is the mayor saying earlier that he vetoed and nothing got sent up to him?
So I
I think
can't, I'm not
Ms.
really
Gotti, I
addressing
think you
that.
need to address that to the mayor.
Right. Thank
Right.
you.
You need to address that to the mayor, Gotti.
Wait a
What
minute.
I'm saying,
I don't understand. In other words, is council intending on intentionally violating the charter by withholding legislation? That's a question I want to ask Willa Hemmons. I want to ask, are you all violating?
You haven't been recognized, Willa. You out of
You
order.
have not been recognized, Willa.
You out of order.
I'm speaking on behalf of the
Willa,
mayor.
you
You
have
ain't
not
speaking
been
behalf of nobody.
recognized.
You haven't been
Your
recognized.
mouth
May
closed.
I take your
Point of
question?
order, ladies and gentlemen. We can sing
Mayor, may I
together, but we
take your
cannot
question,
all talk
please?
together.
Okay, Mayor,
Willa
may I take your
Hemmons,
question?
please,
Willa, will you please
Willa,
keep your mouth
please
closed,
recognize the
because
chair,
you have
Willa
not been
Hemmons.
recognized at all, please. And I was not finished.
Go ahead.
I'm asking the mayor, why did he veto something that have not been sent to him at all? From
Mayor,
vice
may I ask a
president.
question for you?
So, Councilwoman Gowdy, let me repeat the question to make sure I understand it. You're asking me about vetoing legislation that council has passed, but has yet to forthwith sign and submit to the administration for signatures and to the law director. And I believe that's why the law director is chiming in. So Council Vice President, if you would be as willing as to hear.
Nobody
from the law
forgot
director,
anything,
he
mayor.
has to sign this document as well. So if I could yield some of my time to her, Council
Yes.
Vice President, please.
Mayor, wait a minute
Yes, thank
before
you.
she get recognized. Nobody actually sent anything up because of the holiday, Mayor. And you couldn't
Oh.
wait until after the holiday?
May I take that question, Mayor?
Please, yes.
Okay. Many times the mayors in situations like this send an intent to veto. Okay, that's perfectly acceptable, perfectly legal. That was his intent and that was communicated. I don't know why the clerk said that no communications have been received when that communication was sent December 31st. And even Madam Gowdy said that she had received it because she responded immediately at 8:39, December 31st, 2020.
Okay, Willa Hemmons, is he intent to veto it or did he veto it?
A lot of times, like I said, I didn't
Because you
stutter.
cannot
I
veto
said
something that
he
have not
sent
been
it,
signed or
he
sent
sent
up.
his intent to veto so that you could be alerted. Okay, you want information? Well, that's a piece you just got on December 31st, 2020.
Willa,
Yes.
and Willa, he cannot spend a dime until it get approved.
Okay, Lawyer Gotti, we will we'll follow your advice as much as it's worth, okay?
And Tracy, will you please read something right now to me in the charter?
Yes, Councilwoman, what's your pleasure that you want me to read into the record?
113,
Mayor's veto powers?
it just sent to you. It was just
All right.
sent.
Every ordinance and resolution passed by the council shall be signed by its president or vice president and shall be presented forthwith to the mayor by the clerk. If the mayor approves such ordinance or resolution, he or she shall sign and return it. But if the mayor does not approve it, he or she shall return it with a statement of his or her objections to the council, who shall enter the mayor's objections in its journal. The council may then reconsider the vote on the passage of such legislation not later than at its next regular meeting. If upon reconsideration it is approved by 4/5 of the members of council, it shall become effective. If any ordinance or resolution shall not be returned by the mayor within 7 days after it has been presented to him or her, it shall become effective in the same manner as if the mayor had signed it on the last day of the 7-day period. The mayor may approve or disapprove the whole or any item or part of any ordinance or resolution. It's also posted in the chat section for all to see.
I would ask that all
Mayor,
participants
nothing
mute
was
your
sent to you.
telephone.
Nothing was sent to you, Mayor, and you veto it the next day. And it wasn't even signed by the vice president or president.
No, a correction, it was vetoed that
It
night.
must be sent to you first before
Hey,
you
can I,
veto. Nothing was sent to you.
Council, can I have a word?
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Go ahead, Mr. Austin.
Great, thank you very much. And I am sure that we all are aware that we had a meeting, a public meeting where this matter was discussed. So it wasn't like a surprise what was in the pipeline for approval or disapproval. And I did hear where our clerk said that the mayor, within his purview, could address his concerns and take the appropriate action. And after he takes an action, then it comes back to the council for the council to take an action. And I noticed that there is a 7-day window to have all the administrative issues taken care of so the legislation can make it to the mayor's office for his consideration. And this is not something brand new. This is just a response from after a meeting that we all attended. I'm just listening to the information before us. And I know that we're gonna go over a piece of legislation that didn't have anything to do with, the mayor's, I guess, note to the council prior to the meeting getting really started. So more to follow, but yes, I did hear the response, and we do owe a rapid turnaround for the within the legislative process, so that 7-day window won't come and go, especially when we know there's an issue that needs to be addressed. So thank you very much for your time.
So in other words, it was never sent up to the mayor or signed by any council, vice president or president.
So Council Vice President, if I could chime back in, it was my understanding, council and the administration, we have been talking since November about how critical it was to have the 2020, to have a 2021
excuse me, the
appropriations
charter
in place.
The charter
So it's
actually
my-
said that it had to be
Yes.
sent off, period.
So Council Vice President, let me finish this thought. So we have been talking for weeks, if not months, about the importance of passing an appropriation so that the government wasn't forced to shut down. So I appreciate you guys having a meeting to do that so close to the holiday. And at that same time, you were scheduling an agenda review for Thursday. So it was my understanding that you were passing that legislation on Tuesday so that the government wouldn't shut down and employees can get paid. My intent to veto, I got ready. I just forthwith thinking you're going to bring that to me. You did pass the legislation, so the government is still up and running. I'm
But
waiting.
the charter said that it
on
had to be
the signed
signed and
documents.
sent to you, Mayor. I
Well,
understand what you're saying, and this is what you continue doing without us approving anything.
So the
And
law
stuff,
director's question, the law director's question to
We go
you,
by the charter. We gotta
Council
go by
Vice
what the
President.
charter say, Mayor.
the law director's question to you, Council Vice President, is do you intend on signing it and sending it up?
Or,
You know what? Yes, we do. In all those line items that you just signed, they gotta be vetoed. So they're currently zeros in those account, Mayor, ahead.
So Council Vice
we might
President,
as well stop the meeting and go home because ain't nobody getting paid.
And
Council
you
Vice-
cannot
We can't
fill
use
in your
our
own amount.
Council
You
Vice
cannot
President.
fill in your own amount. You
Council
just
Vice
charter
President,
rule.
I appreciate the fact that you're going to work with the Council President to have this document signed and have it brought upstairs to the law department or to the
Forthwith.
administration, right? It takes the Council President to sign it, the Council Clerk, or you can have 2 councilors sign it. So please, if you could get that up here, we need to get it down to the county by a certain date. So we'd appreciate
Thank
if you get it up here. Thank you.
Say council
you.
or vice, it say council, president and vice president. Or vice president. And right now, either one of us can sign, but right now, what you just did, you vetoed it before it even came to you. And no line items now is at 0.
there
Unless
any
we
other-
approve what you want in them.
Is there any other discussion? Clerk, can we
You
call
just
the
can't
roll?
fill in any amount.
Ms. Gowdy, are you done?
And law director, this is to you. What is your intention in filling in all those amounts?
I'm not the mayor.
Does that complete your discussion, Ms. Gowdy? Counselor
Yes,
Gowdy?
I'm asking a question on the floor. Mayor, can you answer that question? What is your
Okay.
intention of filling in all those amounts?
I'm sorry, I stepped away to get some water. Can you repeat that question, Council Vice President?
Why did you fill in all those amounts? What was your intention?
So
Mayor, I think it's self-evident.
it
I
is.
don't think you need to answer that, Mayor.
I need an explanation.
So Council Vice
It
President.
speaks for itself.
It's in my letter, and it speaks to your very question. I will deliver it downstairs if you're downstairs and make sure that you have a copy of it. That's what you'd like.
So
Even
you
though I
trying
know
to
you saw
tell,
it.
the counselors that you are actually going to change the budget, Mayor?
Would you like me to read this again, Council Vice President?
Yes.
Okay, here's my letter dated December 31st, 2020. It is addressed to the Clerk of Council, Victoria Deneau, and the Council President, Corinne Stevens. It is in reference to the line item veto of Resolution 54-20. And as you so eloquently put it, intent to veto, to line item veto. Dear Clerk of Council Deneau and City Council President Stevenson, pursuant to Section 113E of the East Cleveland City Charter, please be advised that I am hereby submitting my line item veto of the specific items listed in the attachment to the above referenced legislation, thereby effectuating their repeal and executive replacement. The following is my objection. Council Vice President, the following is my objection. It's written right here. This legislation eliminating or significantly reducing funds in the line items such as salaries, independent contractors, professional services, office supplies, etc. of the city departments is an improper legislative encroachment upon the powers of the mayor in violation of the East Cleveland City Charter. Resolution 54-20 unduly limits the capacity of the mayor to hire, promote, demote, or fire personnel. 113B, as well as to contract. 113C, 72, with the city's vendors. Goes on to state to restrict a mayor's ability to perform these duties by creating unreasonable financial barriers is an unlawful infringement upon the executive branch of the city government. Sincerely, Mayor Brandon King.
Where is in the law that you can do an executive rejection?
One of your council clerks just read it. It's 113.
Mayor, if you would like, I'll get a legal
That means
opinion.
that you can replace things. That does not mean that you can replace things in the budget.
Mayor, if you would like, I'll prepare a legal opinion and get it to council after they've delivered the signed legislation.
Council Vice President, would you like a legal opinion?
Absolutely not from Willa.
Council Vice President, if we could get the signed legislation forthwith, and I see the Council President is on here as well as your clerks. If we could get that forthwith, then we can get you a legal opinion. Be appreciated.
Mayor, you cannot adjust this budget on your own. So, you know, you really have to talk to the auditor about this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have beat this horse to death. Clerk, can you call the roll?
Right now, we is in a shutdown.
Clerk, can you call the roll?
I want some clarification here, please. I started out with resolution 4620. The discussion is in regards to 5420. If I'm following this correctly. And so,
Okay,
my what am I calling the roll for? Is my question.
we are on 4620. And that's what the roll should be called for.
Discussion.
We just went through discussion. You want to discuss this some more, Ms. Gowdy?
I don't think we're discussing legislation. We started discussing something else. But I'm ready to vote.
Okay, but we can't, listen, let me explain something. We
I don't need
need,
no explanation. Let's roll.
we need to discuss what the clerk is reading, and we need to stay on task, okay? The last meeting that we had was 4 hours, which is far more than enough time for everybody to understand what's going on here. Some things occurred in between the two times, and the conversation was adjusted based on the things that have occurred since we last met. Therefore, Ms. Gowdy, if you have any further questions with regard to 4620, could you please make this short?
I'm gonna move on.
You have any other discussion, Ms. Gowdy?
Thank you, because the charter spoke for itself.
We are on 4620. Clerk, are you prepared to call the roll?
I am, Councilor.
I have something to say if you can hear me.
Yes,
Go
I can.
ahead.
I have a point of order on 4620. I need some clarification.
Go ahead, Mr. Martin.
Okay, did we vote on this before?
Yes, we voted on this item before. What happened was there was a technical difficulty. My computer went out. This item came out of Ms. Gowdy's committee. Ms. Gowdy had the gavel. Ms. Gowdy could not have the gavel because this came out of her committee. So this is a revote to correct the vote that was done inappropriately.
Okay, then let's proceed. I'm in favor of this. Let's proceed on this and get it done, please.
Councilor Stevenson,
Nay.
Councilor Gowdy,
Nay.
Councilor Martin,
Yay.
Councilor Smith, Councilor Smith,
Yay, my apologies, yay.
Councilor Austin,
Yeah, I think it was two of these that was closely related. This is the one where she said yay and then nay and yay and nay. Is this that one, or was it another one?
Mr. Austin, I just explained what this was. This is a revote for a mishap that occurred as a result of technical difficulty.
No. If this is the legislation that because it was an issue where she said yay, then she said nay.
Mr. Austin, we are in the middle of a vote. Let the clerk finish the vote, please.
Okay. Can we get I want to make sure I get the minutes for the last video. And I know it's very hard for somebody, doing something with the videos. And I want to make sure I get a copy of that. Thank you.
okay. What we have for 4620, I have Councilor Stevenson, nay, Councilor Gowdy, nay, Councilor Martin, yay, Councilor Smith, yay, Councilor Austin, yay. Now, on the previous vote, it was a motion to amend 4620 from a first read to an emergency, which passed. After that was the technical difficulty of Counselor Stevenson.
She want to pull back her vote, so they're saying it was a technical difficulty.
No, whoever, I'm just explaining what happened.
Voted for it,
And
remember?
so,
Pressured her, 'cause she was
because-
the sponsor of it.
and so because it's this is a status of an emergency, which you need 4 to pass it, then it 3 vote, it gets failed.
The mayor have his hand up.
Now, this I would like a legal opinion, because this thing did pass at the last meeting last Tuesday. It was voted, yes, turn it to an emergency, and then it was voted 4-1 to pass it. And it was read into the record as having passed. If in the middle of voting, one of the counselors drops her signal who already voted, I don't see that being a problem with the other 4 that are still online that voted yes and passed it. So this, I will ask for a legal opinion. I believe that the legislation last week passed.
Signed and sent to you, Mayor?
We are still waiting on about 4 or 5 pieces of legislation from you, forthwith, as the charter states. We would appreciate if you bring it all up. That'd be great.
And can I ask a question out of, a point of concern, if you will? If
Can you,
sponsor a piece of legislation-
Mr. Austin,
Yes,
Counselor Austin, I would ask, can you hold that until we get through this legislation? And address it at the end of the meeting? I'd appreciate that.
I agree to hold my concern.
Clerk,
Okay. The resolution 4620 did not pass. And I'm looking for give me one moment here. Bear with me. Next, we have resolution 01-21, a resolution in furtherance of the section, the council of the charter of the city of East Cleveland, providing that the council shall appoint council staff in accordance with section 102, organization of council. This is requested and sponsored by Corinne Stevenson, Council President. This is a first read.
Ms. Gowdy, I pass the gavel.
President, this resolution bears your name. What is your pleasure?
Well, this is a first read. This is just this is new staff that we have here in the office, and they have never been formally acclimated because of changes that were made. So this process simply brings them into the legal ease of doing business.
Now, part of that discussion.
Yes, Mr. Austin.
Thank you. When I read through this legislation, it did discuss the 2 clerks and the attorney. So this is, I think the 2 clerks is an HR issue where it should go through the administration to allow the human resources officer for the city to go through the process by which you won't have to have legislation because there is just a normal hire. And if there is a concern with the dollars to activate those positions, then this is an issue that the HR representative should definitely have a say in the process. We're getting this squared away. And as far as the additional dollars, you can mute yourself, please. For the additional dollars for the, I guess, legal representation that's going to be provided in this appropriation, I don't agree, because we've not really had the opportunity to explore some of the other cost-effective measures that should be put in place prior to making an annual appropriation for somebody, especially when we're asking the city to take a 25% or a 90-day temporary appropriation, then the council comes back for themselves and asks for an annual appropriation. So if we're gonna line our responsibilities up with what is fair and just, we should do so. So if this is legislation needs to go forward, it needs to be a temporary timeline and or appropriation to line up with the budget that the council is putting forward for the city. If the city can only have a 90-day appropriation, then the council shouldn't put themselves again before the city, because it doesn't make sense to me. Thank you very much.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
Madam Chairman,
yes,
I'd like to say a few things, please.
yes, you can.
Okay, historically, and this is going back many years, the council always functioned through resolutions and legislation. We're a separate branch of government. This ain't the first time we've had a special counsel, whatever. We're separate. When it comes to filling out the paperwork and all like that, they go through human resources because they got to get paid. But the process is being followed is correct. Okay, we don't have to go to HR to hire anybody. We're a separate branch of government. Our role in this whole situation is we're check and balance, so we don't have to go to her for that. We've had councils for years that we hire to take care of the council business, and there's nothing new about this, nothing at all. Unfortunately, some people don't know the charter like they should, and that's unfortunate. But this process is being followed right. We can get our special counsel and our clerks. Those are the only few employees that we have. We are going to get more, but we've never done that. You need to know that. Thank you very much.
Could I have a little, just a reminder note, please?
No.
I really hope that the mayor stays because we got some questions to ask at the end. And also if there are any more questions. Councilman Austin, I acknowledge you.
Thank you very much. Just so we are clear, it's not a matter of, whether we can. I had two issues. One, this is an opportunity for the HR to do what the HR is supposed to do because the previous clerk was falling under the HR and reported accordingly. This is an opportunity to have the council business reflect the business of the city. If you tell the city they're only going to be able to operate for 90 days, why would the council put forth legislation to allow the council to operate for a year? That doesn't make sense. If you're going to be fair and just, that's my point. Don't miss that part. Thank you.
Any more discussion?
This is the first read, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, let's move forward. Thank you.
Attorney Rudy Giuliani called the Department of Homeland Security to see if it was possible for them to seize voting machines.
Councilman Smith, do you have anything that you would like to say? If not, I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice President Therese.
No, ma'am, and I thank you for asking.
Please mute your phone or your television. We are getting back to you.
Please mute.
Council Clerk.
Okay, we need to invoke Rule 9, order of business. For resolution.
I move that we invoke Rule 9.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Could you please call the roll?
No, she's not calling the roll, Ms. Gowdy. You have to add the tax legislation 0421. I think.
What is we at?
Oh. Clerk.
Yeah. We have resolution 04-21. This is a resolution authorizing the City of East Cleveland's participation in the Cuyahoga County Budget Commission Tax Advancement Program for fiscal year 2021 and declaring an emergency for the preservation of the public peace, property, welfare, health, and safety. This is requested by Charles Iahen, Finance Director, sponsored by Corinne Stevenson, Council President.
Madam Clerk,
Madam President, this resolution bears
This is a basic,
Legislation.
this is a basic piece of legislation that the city has to complete every year.
We gotta,
Um,
Madam
and
President,
this-
Madam President, we still have to vote on Rule 9.
Oh,
We discussed.
okay, well, let's vote.
Okay. Will you
Clerk,
please
can you
call the roll?
roll?
Counselor Stevenson,
Yay.
Counselor Gowdy,
Yay.
Counselor Martin,
yay.
Counselor Smith,
Just so I can be clear, so are we voting to add resolution, you said 04-21 to the floor?
yes, we're voting to, oh, I'm sorry. We're voting to invoke Rule 9. Order
Yay.
of business.
Yay.
Counselor Austin.
Yay.
Okay. Are we now in discussion?
Now, President, this resolution bear your name.
This is the basic tax preparation that the city does with the county on an annual basis. Charles is online. If he has anything to say, we need to get this in to the county.
No, I don't have anything to say. As you mentioned, this is just a routine piece of legislation.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'll call the roll. Counselor Stevenson,
Yay.
Counselor Gowdy,
Yay.
Counselor Martin,
Yay.
Counselor Smith,
Yay.
and Counselor Austin.
Yay.
Resolution 04-21 has passed. Next, we have remarks and requests of the public. 3-minute time limit, please.
This is Omaze. Do I have the floor?
Do you have an address? You know you're only getting 2 minutes.
Well, you take up my 2 minutes. I have something very important to discuss here. Number one, council
What is your
has
address,
the
sir? What is
authority.
your address?
It's still the same as it has been all the time. I'm not putting my address out there in the public on this. I'll do it in the public meeting. I'm not going to do it over the Zoom. Anyway, as I was saying, before I was interrupted.
Come on.
The council, excuse me, please. The council has the authority to hire anyone they wish to hire in their department. And you want me to read it, the charter to you, I will read it. Administration has absolutely nothing to do or say about whom council hires, number one. And number two, the mayor cannot veto something he has not received. And you read the charter, what it says in reference to the veto. So therefore, his veto, whatever he has said or veto, doesn't need to stand because he has not received the legislation. The law says you must receive the legislation, and you have 5 days or 7 days to do it. And if it does not happen within that time frame, it passes without your signature. And I don't care what the law director says, she can't change the charter, nor can Brandon King. Only the citizen can change the charter, and he has to follow it. She knows, as an attorney, knows that you can't veto something you have not received. It's not in your presence. You must put on there and why you vetoed it. And I guess I don't know where you're getting your information from or whatever. And secondly, council allow administration to take over their branch of government. You authorize, you are the ones that appropriate and what have you. And you also put their 5 positions in here, which the council has the authority to put the regulation. That's the law director, the finance director, and the public service director, and the list goes on. It's 5 of them, and the position director. The council has that authority to put the requirements to that, not the mayor. Thirdly, I'll say, you guys have allowed the mayor to usurp your authority. He dictating to you. You are the one that do the appropriation of the budget. That's your job. And if you want to pass 1/3 of the budget, that's your prerogative to do so. He cannot come in there and change it and put whatever he wants to put in there. His butt can go to jail. And so the finance director as well. If he accept that, you must get the authorization from council. And then if you have spent your budget, you come back to council and council reappropriate after they question what you spent it on. Yes, there are circumstances that arise where you may be able to, you spend your budget, but you come back to council and council reappropriate money to you. That's the way government operates. This is not your personal business.
Mr. Mays, your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any further comments?
Kelvin Irby.
I just need to make this.
Kelvin Irby, 4802 Elm Avenue. I want to speak amongst the disrespect from our counselor at large, since I'm not allowed to give their names. You're forgetting what your position is as a counselor. The interest, rights, needs of the people. I don't care how you take it. I don't care why you don't understand what your positions are. But we didn't ask to be neglected, divided, left in the background. Your disrespect on as counselors need to change. You're not doing your job for the city. And as to respect your other counselors, you're above the mayor. And I don't understand why you don't see how dangerous that you're putting our city into. If you don't care about our city, I've said this many of times. If you don't care about our city, leave. Drop your position, because next year it won't be a next year. We worked hard for this city to stay afloat. We worked hard to keep equipment going. We worked hard to keep our residents' yards looking beautiful. If you don't like doing for the city, quit. Quit. Because it would be embarrassment to kick you off of council and find somebody else to do the job correctly. I have one more statement to say. Looking at how you guys are purchasing equipment for the city, it's not right. It's not right. Looking at the line items that you have, it's not right either. And coming from a position working for the city, you need mechanics. Whoever phone it is or whatever you got ringing, mute it. We worked hard for keep our city looking beautiful. And it's a disrespect to hear our councilors at large disrespect our city. I don't think you understand that you have the more authority than you think. Use the brain that God gave you and push forward. Get us the equipment that we need to push East Cleveland forward. You're making East Cleveland a laughter stock. For a meeting to go till 11:30 because you feel that the mayor is telling you right, you have all authorities and your mayor has last say so, even though his voice is not important. For a mayor that has no respect for the city, that does not reside in the city, is an embarrassment. Follow your charter, follow your laws. And the law director who does not reside in a full-time position should not be sitting in a full-time position. For the lies, the disrespect, you have a program here that is not needed for East Cleveland, and the residents suffer behind it. And if you don't understand what it is, it's a stormwater project. I know my 3 minutes is up, so you guys have an enjoyable evening, and I will mute my mic. Thank you.
Any further remarks from the public? Hearing none. We have the response from council and the mayor to remarks of the public.
Mayor King.
Mayor, may I have part of your time, Willa Hemmons?
No,
Mayor, this is mayor's time.
no, because the mayor left on purpose.
Is he here? Is the
He
mayor
leaves
on, is the
every
mayor
time
in
when
the
the
meeting?
public leaves.
He's not in the meeting?
Right, he leaves every time when the public speaks.
No, I'm here to represent him and I'm here to say, Willa Hemmons, on behalf of the mayor,
We do
that
not
on
need you, Willa.
On September 20th, Ms. Denal was hired. She has the employment papers filled out and I sent them to each counselor. Likewise, in October, Ms. Udriges Peters was hired. So they have been appointed already. Therefore, resolution 01-21 is unnecessary and duplicative of what has already been effectuated. If indeed you want to hire someone else, those persons are listed. The selection is listed in the section 111, okay, 111, and it talks about council employees, and they can be either full-time or part-time. Okay, thank you.
Clerk.
We have remarks from council. Councilor Gowdy.
Going before the president. Thank you.
No, you all go ahead. I have to wait on this.
We'll go to the next person.
Councilor Smith.
Good evening, everyone, to my colleagues, our clerks, our mayor, Madam Law Director, Mr. Finance Director, our police chief, Chief Gardner. And most importantly, I want to thank each and every last resident who took the time out in this unique situation we are in the year 2021 to join us on these Zoom meetings. I know it's in a way harder to join these meetings than it is in the ones the type of in-person meetings. So I really want to thank you for that. Happy New Year. Be safe. And enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Austin.
Greetings. Thank you, Lord. I also want to thank our residents that actually, chimed in and, provided their input and or lend their ear. So I did take a couple of notes from what our great public brought as concerns and or issues. I am glad to hear that the clerks were officially hired through our HR department as expected. There's still an issue or two that we can address as a council, and I appreciate that. The mayor is required by law to provide a financial estimate of what he believes is going to be required financially to support all the responsibilities of the city, managing the city and taking care of its roads and personnel. And an action plan also to go beyond that 1 year and out 5 years. So if there are things that, financially we can't pay for in 1 year, we have to have a plan in place to pay for those things over 3 to 5 years out. And with this visioning plan that we've been working on as a city, it can go out as far as 20 years. So, and that ties, now this is where the council ties into that planning. The council is expected to take a look at the resources that are available and make sure those resources are lined up in accordance with the mayor's plan to accomplish the things to provide for the citizens of the city. And if that plan goes beyond what the resources are, then obviously we have to, advise and, appropriate and legislate accordingly. So as long as the scope of support and the resources are available, then it's my opinion that we should provide for the health, interests, rights, and needs of the public, the citizens, the residents like me, so that the things that we need to have accomplished are emergency needs, our safety needs, transportation needs. And when I say our safety needs, that's not just the roads that we pass by, that's the street lights. That's the branches that need to be trimmed so they don't fall on somebody's head and kill someone. And those are the things that are critical to the overall quality of life for our residents. And there is no, how can I say, emotional attachment to anything other than provisions for our residents, period. This is an opportunity this has been an opportunity, terrible season for under these conditions of the pandemic, hurt us tremendously. But as the federal government decided to help these small cities like us with additional resources, it enabled us to free up some of our dollars in the general fund, provided that the CARES Act dollars are appropriately provided to fill some of the gaps in what we could not do through our general fund. If it provided support to COVID-19 or coronavirus under the CARES Act dollars, those dollars could possibly bridge some gaps in the less than significant support that we had. Say the vehicles that we talked about. So I think somebody mentioned something about some vehicles for our residents and for our city. We had 4 vehicles that were being used to shuttle food to the towers, to the Mildred Brewer, and those vehicles more than once stopped on the way because of a mechanical issue. And to prevent that from being a continued event or catastrophic event is what I'll say, this was one effort to replace some of those vehicles and not cause the general fund to be responsible for carrying the additional burden placed on the city due to COVID-19. And there has been some, respectfully, there has been some, I guess, some entities that have sought their own self-interest as opposed to putting the interests of the people first. And that has been very difficult for me to accept and or swallow, for the purpose of getting the citizens what they need, whether it's a new boot, whatever the item is. I can't underscore how important it is to really give to the people what they need. And I think that I missed the opportunity to talk about when the governor was here and he was able to get into the mayor's SUV, which was mechanically sound. It was representative of what we want to be as a city. And the governor was able to get in, they were able to have a good communication. And through those communications, we got a lot of good stuff done to the crosswalks and got some additional lights put back. And those are those conversations that you cannot quantify that are very beneficial to our residents. And I took a couple of notes and I wanted to share with you, as a predominantly Black city, some of the challenges that our predecessors had to go through in order to make it so we can come before you today to have a heated discussion about what we believe in our hearts to be right for you. And on the shoulders of our ancestors, the Black people, respectfully, that could not come forward and disagree with anything that was said in a public setting, period. Couldn't do it. If not, you were going to be prosecuted. And you know, like those 3 civil rights folks that were in Mississippi during the time when the change was really taking place. They were kidnapped and murdered. 1 Black and white, kidnapped and murdered, because they wanted to express the want and desire so that Black people can have a better life. So today I want to ask you to look at Black people to see what you can do to make sure that we have a better life for the person that are going to come on behind us. And just consider that. That's all I have. Thank you very much. And you care, I care, and you matter to me. This matters to me. I'm not playing no games. I'm only seeing what's right for the people that I'm trying to help, period. Thank you.
Council has 5 minutes to speak and not 10 or 15.
Councilor Martin.
Happy New Year to everyone. I thank former Councilman O'Mays because he's on point. And I stated earlier, we are a separate branch of government. Our role, and I underscore it, is a check and balance. And I think we're attempting to do that. Very briefly, I'm going to read the veto powers come out the charter. I read the most important section. Mayor's veto powers. Every ordinance and resolution passed by the council shall be signed by its president or vice president and shall be presented forthwith to the mayor by the clerk. If the mayor approves such ordinance or resolution, he or she shall sign and return it. But if the mayor does not approve it, he or she shall return it with a statement of his or her objections to the council, who shall enter the mayor's objection in a journal. And this is in the charter. This is a law. This is a process that has to be followed. So, for the record, we need to know that. And I read the last section and read this whole section because it's the veto power section. Council may then reconsider the vote on the passage of such legislation not later than at its next regular meeting. If upon reconsideration it is approved by 4/5 of the members of council, it shall become effective. If any ordinance or resolution shall not be returned by the mayor within 7 days after it was presented to him or her, it shall become effective in the same manner as if the mayor had signed it on the last day of the 7-day period. The mayor may approve or disapprove the whole empty item or part of any ordinance or resolution appropriating money. And the whole item or part so disapproved shall be void unless be passed by the council in the manner herein prescribed. Government is about process and procedure. We have to follow the proper process. We can't get around it. It's our laws. Thank you. I have spoken.
Yeah. Okay.
Councilor Gowdy.
Yes, I see Gardner on. Gardner, you still on? Gardner. Chief Gardner?
What?
Chief Gardner, today, Chief Gardner, can you hear me?
A little bit, speak
Yeah,
up.
yes, I hear you.
Hey, thank you. How you doing today?
I'm doing fairly well. Yourself? Thank you.
Okay, we need transparency for the public today. I know that you cannot go into much details,
Right.
but I do want to ask you date for an update of what's going on, if you don't mind sharing.
Chief, you
And
cannot.
it don't have to be.
You cannot respond. It's under investigation by another agency. This is too premature. I'm sure that when the BCI, the Office of the Ohio Attorney General, finishes its report, it will be made available.
Excuse me,
to
Heather.
each of you.
Excuse me,
Willa.
Willie. He already released a statement. We just want to know about the statement that he already released.
Well, you can reread it, Chief, if you would like. Your statement that you released.
I want
to
the
press.
public to hear it, Willa, please.
I asked him to
Please
reread his
hush,
statement.
Willa. Willa, he have a right to speak.
No, he has no right to speak if it jeopardizes the city and the citizens.
Ladies.
I can't.
She told you he could read the statement, got her. Let her read the
Release
statement.
a
and be quiet.
statement, my God, Willa. This is why we lose cases all the time, because of you. That's why I really don't want you to be removed.
Gowdy, be quiet and let him read the statement.
I mean, I'm asking him.
Well, that's not what she said. He would read the statement.
I believe Councilman Martin had requested me to be present, I believe, on the 11th.
Yes, that's correct.
I have no issue whatsoever. This investigation is very preliminary. I don't want to make any type of statement that it's going to be contradicted, or, there's a lot of information that I do not have at this point. And I would prefer not to make statements relative to it until I have a clear, better understanding. I have no issue whatsoever giving council a full report on the 11th.
Thank you,
That'll
Chief
be the
Gardner.
12th.
Thank you, Chief Gardner, for that. Willa, you need to be called on and recognized before you jump in on something.
Yes,
and run
ma'am.
your mouth.
Point of order, Chief. The health and safety meeting is scheduled for the 12th at 6:30 for clarification.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Councilor Gowdy, any further comments?
We is losing. We are right now is in a governor shutdown. Charles is government shutdown. Charles is not supposed to be spending any money. He's not supposed to be spending any money. And we got to make sure that he do not spend any money, because he can definitely get in trouble. And because there was no budget sent up, the law said that it have to be sent up first. And nothing has been sent. Councilor Martin has said it clear. O'Mays has said it clear. And that's the law. You know, we have to follow the law. And Charles, I hope that you don't get the spending because we will have to deal with that. And yes, council at this time cannot receive payments either. And I will definitely wait on my $200 a month. And that includes my announcement.
Councilor Stevenson?
Good evening. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. There's several things going on here. And one is the mayor's veto and reappropriation of funds. The mayor can't appropriate funds. He does not have that authority. That authority rests with this council. There are other planning activities that were brought to the table tonight. The council should have been involved in the planning, and the information that we are supposed to have, we don't have. The council received an annual plan in March at a county meeting. That was the first that this council had heard of a plan. In the absence of an orientation process, newly elected members of this council are lacking crucial information that could have been shared from senior councilors. Mr. Austin is correct. The mayor has a responsibility, but it is not to appropriate funds. I understand that the council has an authority, and that authority has been compromised by prior year activities, and that's what this council is up against. We are in a state of negotiations, trying to get information from this administration, and we're going to continue, even though we're being rebuffed, we're going to continue to try and get this information, because it's a matter of what happens to the residents in the city. I am not one to take people's salaries away and other things that I've been accused of. That pretty much concludes my statement. And with that said, I would like to call for this motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Happy New Year. Have a
Happy New
nice
Year.
a nice evening.
Meeting is adjourned at 7:53 PM.
Thanks for coming.